Well, isn't this a no-brainer? For realsies. Well, actually no, it's more than that. See, this game looks severely outdated by today's standards. It was originally released in 1993 in the arcades on Sega AM1 hardware. What you also need to know is in 1993, this kicked your testicles well out of your scrot. It looked truly amazing and everything about it was next level. It was the future. What I don't understand is how the Saturn was such a huge focus on 2D over 3D, but titles like this would have been so popular in the arcades that they should have had the hardware which was much better at accommodating for games just like this. If Sega had the foresight in making games like this and how popular they were, why couldn't they just keep doing more of that? It was also a controversial port of the title too because it came out at the same time as Daytona, both games being highly anticipated and both feeling very rushed upon its release. That was probably because they were. To the point where Virtua Fighter Remix was released not long after the original release, with high polygon models, texture mapping and some gameplay changes. It was given free to all registered Saturn owners in the US via mail. It also had an arcade release on the STV. The version I'll be reviewing is the original PAL title, Virtua Fighter, naturally, which supports 2 players. The game features 8 characters with an additional boss at the end, Dural. Each character has a very distinctive fighting style, with Dural at the end, who uses all the fighting styles of every character. It's also worth noting that the intro video to this game, which features a move from all the characters, is one of the most iconic intro videos on a fighting game alongside the original Street Fighter II. Menu presentation is pretty damn good, albeit plain. Something as small as the select menu option sounds awesome, not to mention a very bold, clear, and well laid out in-game presentation. It has excellent continuity and is very flowy. Bright colours adds to the overall theme of the game, and really works well with it. Graphics are outdated, and even for a port like this, the remix version sounds so much more appealing than this. What we have here is a very distinctive look and a piece of history, a small window in time where blocky, plainly detailed polygon fighters were considered revolutionary for better or for worse. I've discussed that sound is not the be-all end-all, but what we have here is an excellent soundtrack as well as extremely effective sound effects. And everything here has been ported over pretty well in that regard. Most reviewers have a bad habit of reviewing games based on the initial visceral reaction rather than the critical merit of a game. It renders most game reviews rather useless, as it's a part of the reason that audiences so greatly diverge from reviewers on games with deep gameplay, but often agree right away on games with deep visceral resonancy. When actual criticism is brought into play, or heck, once the new game smell has worn off, reception and positivity begins to wane. But for me, gameplay is far more important, and this game is surprisingly deep for a fighter. Many gamers also respond favourably to the game's grounding in realism as opposed to the superhuman elements, but the sheer moves and trying to pull them off accurately is far harder than it looks. And since I suck at this game, you won't be seeing much of that. And anything that was done accurately was sheer fluke or button bashing. One of the mechanics in the game that was a severe flaw was floating around when you jumped in air. To be fair, very rarely should you need to do this in the game anyway. Could you still enjoy this game without knowing a whole lot or being any less than a master at this game? I think you could. Which leads me to... lasting appeal is not too bad. It's not great, but it's nice to finish the game with all 8 characters, and you have a versus mode and various difficulties which would challenge the most seasoned fighting gamer. On top of that, you would need to invest quite a serious amount of time in order to learn all the moves and get the timing right. Would I recommend this game? The answer is no, but the long answer is get the far superior remixed version or its sequel, which was also on the Saturn instead. Those versions fixed everything that was wrong with this version. But if the question was would I recommend Virtua Fighter generally speaking to play, absolutely. This game is a classic and not to be missed in the slightest. It was great enough to spawn countless sequels.
Time over.
As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.